Thank you, Chairman Graham, Ranking Member Whitehouse, for another important hearing of this subcommittee. You've been doing terrific work, and I want to commend Senator Whitehouse for his persistent and good work on the Disclose Act and for the Shell Company Abuse Act you just referenced. Mr. Murray, in your written testimony, you note how anonymous companies are the most critical threat to financial transparency, and you highlight the Counterterrorism and Illicit Finance Act being discussed in the House and how it will help. Specifically, you state this proposal is the most direct remedy to the use of anonymous U.S. companies to circumvent campaign finance laws and other illicit finance threats. This proposal is actually supported by Delaware's Secretary of State. Why do you believe this is the most direct approach for improving transparency?
Put simply, it bans the problem. It prohibits the problem. It's a direct attack on the money laundering vulnerability, and would do more than any other single proposal, I think, to shore up our anti-money laundering regime in the United States and close off important gaps.
Let me ask you a couple questions about facts we know about what has happened. It is one of the areas of focus we've had for a number of months here. Based on Special Counsel Mueller's investigation, we know 3 senior Trump campaign officials accepted money for lobbying as foreign agents without registering their activities. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort, Trump deputy campaign manager Rick Gates. Why is it problematic for a current or former foreign agent to be working on a U.S. presidential campaign and getting paid by foreign entities without disclosing those foreign interests?
Well, I think the key there is the lack of disclosure and the lack of candor. Coming from the government and not having been in government too long ago, I know that one of the concerns with respect to security was always lack of candor, because if someone discloses and you can see what they were up to in the past and what they may be up to now, you can take steps to mitigate that risk. But it's really the lack of candor that I think is important there.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Dewicki, if I might, Special Counsel Mueller's indictment of 13 Russian individuals and 3 companies asserts the Russians engaged in information warfare against the United States through fictitious U.S. personas on social media platforms. We've had hearings on this topic. One American has already pled guilty to identity fraud because he sold bank account numbers to Russians involved in this plot. How can stolen bank accounts be used to allow foreign nationals to interfere with our presidential or other elections?
Stolen bank accounts are one more layer of obfuscation and ambiguation that can be inserted into the process to hide the tracks of those that are moving money from one point to another. It's very simple, and that additional node just makes it that much more difficult to follow the money as it follows through this labyrinth.
Mr. Murray, Senator Whitehouse and I, in August of 2016, sent a letter to the then chair of the Oversight Subcommittee, the junior senator from Texas, expressing our grave concern regarding potential foreign interference in our election. We were shocked that then candidate Trump would openly encourage a hostile foreign power to hack his opposing candidates' emails, and we asked for an oversight hearing to consider whether existing criminal statutes sufficiently address conduct related to foreign entities that pose a threat to our elections. Do you believe our existing laws are sufficient to protect our elections from interference financed by foreign governments?
No, I don't. I think that there are structural gaps in our laws, which I've covered in my written testimony. I think that there are also gaps in the criminal statutes, and I think that the legislation that Ranking Member Whitehouse mentioned during his introduction would be an important step to improving the transparency and to really shoring up our system.
Thank you. Ms. Krumholtz, my last question, if I might. The New York Times just last month reported on an August 2016 meeting that Donald Trump Jr. held in Trump Tower with George Nader, an emissary for the Crown Prince of the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and Joel Zamel, an Israeli social media specialist linked to Israeli intelligence. According to the report, Zamel proposed a multi-million-dollar social media plan. I'm deeply troubled Mr. Trump Jr. didn't provide any information about this meeting during his Judiciary Committee interview, despite his being specifically asked about any foreign governments or foreign nationals' offers to assist the Trump campaign. And I've asked the chairman to call Mr. Trump Jr. to testify about this. I'm disturbed as late as June 2018, we're still learning about previously undisclosed meetings between the Trump campaign and foreign entities. Would it be lawful for a foreign government like the UAE or a foreign national like Mr. Zamel to provide services to support a U.S. presidential campaign?
Senator, I'm not an election lawyer or a lawyer at all, so I should probably try not to practice law without a license, but I would, again, point back to comments made by my colleagues here at the table saying we are lacking a wish, an interest in being forthright and candid about obvious conflicts of interest that could imperil our independence and sovereignty and the integrity of our democratic process. So it seems at the very least unwise, if not illegal, for them not to have divulged that information.
Well, thank you for that careful answer. Thank you to the whole panel for your testimony, and thank you to the chairman and ranking for this hearing.